Welcome back, watch people. So last week I walked around London wearing a fake Richard Mille watch in the hope of attracting one of the many street criminals currently infesting the streets of our wonderful capital city. And yesterday I took the topic a stage further by taking a ride with a black London cabbie who tells us about his experiences and what he's witnessed driving around the streets of London. That's all coming up right after this. So before we go on our black cab trip this afternoon, the guys at Amiga have been in contact with me this morning. They've got a couple more watches for us to have a look at. One in particular I'm very interested in myself, so we're going to nip in there first and take a look. There we go, there's the man. London Black Cab. How you doing, Nick?
How you doing, Paul?
You
all
right,
good?
mate?
How are you?
Good, thank you very much for this.
You're welcome, mate, you're welcome.
Really appreciate it. So I am in the back of an original black cab in central London. The best cab drivers in the world, certainly the most trusted, and we've got viewer Nick, who just told me actually a great story. Nick, tell us what you was telling us about Ian, one of...
I know you through Ian Nicholson, and I know Ian through doing this job. And by chance, I picked him up from King's Cross, and he was coming down to the MV Augusta show to see you guys. And we just got chatting. We got chatting about watches. I had a plate just on. He happened to have one in his pocket, like you do. And we just got chatting about watches. He invited me to the show that night actually, but I was working, and we've just kept in contact ever since, become really good friends. And
that's amazing. I thought, you know what, Nick, I thought you guys had just all met at one of the shows.
Right.
And you actually picked Ian up in your taxi.
Yeah. And I've done so a few times. Every time he comes to London, I like to meet up with him, and he jumps in, and I met Greggy Boy from Kelvin. And,
all the boys.
All the boys, all the...
But it's a great community, right?
Yeah, really enjoy it. Like I said, he's got me along to a few things, and went to Spencer's opening, which was really good. A bit heavy, I must admit.
Yeah.
Like they all are apparently.
No driving for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a little drive around London today, mate. I mean, obviously you're, a black cab driver. You can't get anyone better than a black cab driver to tell us a little bit about London these days, what you see, some of the stuff that goes on. We was talking briefly at the last show at Spencer's, and you were saying some of the things that you've witnessed. What do you make of London these days in general?
I mean, to be honest, Paul, I think the biggest thing is the lack of presence of police. You just don't see anyone. We're driving around now, and I've grown up in London. I've been a black cab driver since 2015, but I had a courier company before that, so I've always been in and around London, and I just don't remember a time when you don't see as many, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing that I see. The crime, I mean, it's the most regular thing we saw for quite a while is a big spout, and it was the phone snatching, and you'd see that quite often. Just driving around, and you can spot them because you've seen it happen.
Yeah.
You kind of spot the guys that are doing it. Originally, it was sort of 2 guys on a moped, and you'd see someone on the corner just on their phone, oblivious to what's going on around them, and they'll come past, do a U-turn up on the pavement
And grab it.
and just like that, it's gone.
How many times would you say you've witnessed that sort of thing?
I don't know. Over the years, I've probably, I don't know, you see 10, 15 of them. Sometimes you'd see 3 a night, sometimes you might not see any.
3 a night? Wow.
It just depends on, I guess, I don't know if it's the same people, the same gang, the same...
Would you say that that's what you're witnessing has increased over the years, or is it starting to slow down a little bit?
Right, well, I will say that there was a time when it was like ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
You used to say there's another one. There used to be 2 up on the scooter, the back one would have no crash helmet on.
Yeah.
I'm told that's because the police can't pursue them.
Yeah.
But since you started highlighting watch crime, and there was the major ones with the Bugatti on Park Lane.
Seems to have quieted down a bit.
I think so.
Yeah,
I don't know whether the gangs have been caught or whether it's the attention that's been drawn to it has made them think, not so risky. But I just saw it kind of escalating because, like I said, it was phone snatching, and then they were sort of, you see them pull up against somebody else on a moped, a genuine person, and they're looking to nick the moped so they can go out on it and nick other stuff, you know.
Yeah, because like one theft, you see someone get their phone stolen and you think, oh well, it's just a phone, but actually it's not, is it? Because they're using a stolen moped in the proceeds of the crime as well. Everyone's insurance goes up, blah blah blah. So it might just appear like one phone snatch, but it gets a lot worse. So where is you going to take us now, mate? Where are we now?
I mean, at the moment we're in Grosvenor Square.
Yeah.
So we're just in Mayfair.
Yeah.
We can go up past the back of Selfridges, but to say where it happens the most, you couldn't, because I've seen it happen on Euston Road outside Euston Station.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen around here. You go around the back of Harrods. There was a really bad one that you've seen on film in Montpellier Street, which is opposite Harrods. You can see them tucked round corners like that. And then it just seemed to start escalating. It was phone snatching, and like I said, the threats on the moped. Then they started riding sort of electric push bikes.
Yeah.
And
I think that seems to be the MO these days.
I think so, yeah. And they're all balaclavaed, so there's no way of IDing anyone. Dressed in black, and they can get anywhere. They're up on the pavement, they're off the pavement, they're in between cars, in between traffic. Yeah,
very difficult to catch. I mean, when I came out with the Met Police here a few months back, I can't actually probably reveal what I was going to say, actually, thinking about it, but they told me, because they didn't want me to reveal this, because they know, but they don't want the bad guys to know they know, that they have something that they do that really confuses the public. I mean, look, blow it, I'm just going to say it, I think time's gone now, but look, they're dressing up as Deliveroo drivers, FedEx delivery drivers, because look, you can go on eBay and buy this stuff for next to no money. You can buy a Deliveroo jacket for like £10.
Yeah.
You can buy a FedEx jacket for £10. And when people see someone in a high-vis jacket with a known name on it, it actually puts them at ease in some respects. You don't expect to be mugged by someone pretending to be a Deliveroo driver. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The one who done the Bugatti on Park Lane, he was in the Deliveroo outfit.
Exactly. Exactly.
You've also got, and I'm not saying I'll probably get slated for this because I'm a black cab driver, but they're using a lot of private hire vehicles, so which is a Prius, and they've got the TfL Randall in the back, and quite often you see the police have pulled them over, or
what is that, the TfL, what is that?
Yeah, so basically if you look in the back of a black cab, so these ones on your left going past Selfridges now on the side door, we've got square green identifiers. That gives us, that's our badge number, and that gives us the identification. If you're a private hire driver, which things like Uber, Bolt and stuff like that would fall under, now it's not necessarily those, but they have to have a private hire licence. They would have a round sticker in the back, which the one in front has got, which actually looks like it's been cut out to be a triangle. That might be a permit. But yeah, so you quite often you'd see a Prius with a TfL Randall in the back and the police surrounding it, and they're not going to stop them for anything to do with work. So it's obviously they're using that. They like to do the Deliveroo outfits and stuff, you know, as a cover, and you're pretty much not untouchable, but you're driving around here, you're not getting bothered. You know, I never sort of get pulled up, they never really get pulled up. So if you are doing anything underhand, then it's kind of quite a good cover, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like I said, they went onto the push bikes, and then it was things like the watches. It seemed that way, you know. I mean, I can't say that I've witnessed loads of watch thefts, but you certainly look at the muggings, and you can see people that are buzzing around.
Yeah, it's been
that are looking for something. You know?
Exactly. Well, that's when you hit the nail on the head there, mate. Because when I came out in London last week, I was walking around for a couple of hours, and you know, I mean, to some degree, it was a silly to expect to actually really see anything happening. But I don't know if you saw that video, but we did spot someone who was taking an interest in what I was wearing. And later on that day, blowing me, I got in the cab to go back to Victoria, and there was 5 police officers had this guy in handcuffs, so he was obviously had been up to something. So it just goes to show that, you know, if you know what you're looking for, and you know, you sound like you know exactly the signals that these people give off, they are out there, right?
Absolutely, and you can kind of see it happening before you. So for example, a girl standing there or a bloke standing here on the edge of the curb with his phone out, and then you just see the circle, and no matter what you do, you can't get their attention, because they're enthralled in whatever they're doing. So no matter how many times you sound a hooter, you shout out the window, and within a split second it's gone and they're gone. You know,
have you done that? Have you found yourself sort of?
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it quite a few times. And even to the passengers, I've said to them, look, watch this. Someone's going to get done here.
Yeah.
And you get, like that guy there is a perfect example. They'll just pull alongside him, and it'll be out his hand. He's not even holding the phone. But why shouldn't you be on your phone? Why shouldn't you be allowed on your phone?
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
When you see it happening a few times, you do think, I'm so aware of it now. I never wear a nice watch or high-end watch to work. I've just got an old Seiko, not an old Seiko, but a Seiko on. I don't, because I'm on display all the time.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know who's getting in. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you get many situations where you're uncomfortable with where, you know, who's got in your cab?
Yeah, I have had a few times. You kind of know by people's behaviour. They're not accurate of where they want to go. It's a generalisation. All of a sudden you're in Lisson Grove going through an estate, you know, something like that, or they're on the phone talking. So you get a sense. I kind of try and nip it in the bud. If someone says, you know, for example, I was taking someone to Greenwich, he told me a postcode, which let's say, for example, is 100 yards down the road.
Yeah.
And as I was standing in traffic, he started to try to open a door. So you can't open these doors if your foot's on the brake.
Yeah.
And what's the matter? I want to put this tissue in the bin. You know, this is not to do with watch theft or anything like that, but it's a £50 job. So I knew, for example, he's just going to open that door and he'll be gone, you know. So you kind of get that with your passengers. You kind of get a sense of how people behave, how natural they are. They sit forward, they're a bit edgy.
Does that happen a lot, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, now I'm a bit more clued up with it, I think. When I first came out, I lost quite a bit of money by things like that.
Really?
You know, there was a spout, they nicknamed them the Lisson Grove mob, and they were only young, they were teenagers really. What they would do is get in your cab, take you up to by St John's Wood Station, Lisson Grove, and there's an estate. As you pull in the estate, there's something in the road. The drivers were getting out to move the cone or move the bag out the road, and that's it, the bag's gone, they're done.
Everything's gone,
So, but, I mean, that's sort of, you know, another thing. But just driving around, and what I was saying is you just get the sense of who, do you know what I mean? And like you did, when you walk past the station, or I think you was walking past here actually.
Yeah, it was just about round here,
And the guy looked in, clocked your wrist, and all of a sudden you know you're on alert, aren't you? You kind of see it.
Well, unfortunately, the life I've lived, being in the watch business, people have actually said to me, I'm not even aware that I'm doing it, but I'll be doing a video, Nick, and people will go, why do you keep looking around your shoulder when you're doing a video? It's because you get to learn to live that life, you know. It's like you're always looking over your shoulder, unfortunately.
And that is unfortunate, isn't it?
It is. It's not pleasant.
But I like to think that I can, you know, I started doing it. If you wore something nice, you walk through a restaurant or something, and the guy sitting there, I'd like to think they're looking at the watch.
Yeah.
Like with, you know, admiring it. But now, unfortunately, your first instincts are, I'm in trouble here.
Yeah.
But look, we're going down Oxford Street. It's one of the busiest streets in London. Thousands of people, but you just won't see any presence whatsoever.
Yeah.
So if something happened right here, I don't know, maybe they're just relying on CCTV and that does the groundwork for them. But if something happened to that lady there, who's going to help her?
Yeah, they don't follow that up anyway, mate, do they?
No.
You know what I mean?
It's, when we did the knowledge, when you do the knowledge, you have a thing called the talk at the end of it, where an examiner will talk you through the etiquette, the do's and the don'ts, what to do to other cab drivers. And something that was said to me is that if anyone starts trouble in the back or they're coming, you know, it's really aggressive, you've got 8 minutes to get to a police station because you're never more than 8 minutes away. Yeah. Now, that was 2015, I was told that. I couldn't tell you the nearest one here. It's West Central, probably. I think they closed about 31 of them since I've been in the cab.
Yeah.
Now, what do? Someone needs, you know, I've got people coming in saying, I've just been pickpocketed, I've lost my phone, I've lost my bags and passport, can we go to the nearest police station? There just isn't any.
There isn't any.
And I'm sure that presence on the street, because coming up here as a kid, if you walked up and down here, you'd see groups, you know, twos and twos.
Yeah.
And, you know, even I'm not saying that they'd be able to do much, but even the deterrent is there, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. I mean, we've been driving around now, well, I'm looking at the camera, we've been driving around now for nearly 15 minutes and we've not seen a single police officer or a car. But when you compare that, where was I recently? Where have I been recently? In America? I mean, in the States. I mean, there was police officers on every corner. You know, they were everywhere.
And that is a deterrent in itself, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, just because you think to yourself, if we're going to do something, oh no, the police are there, I'm not going to.
Absolutely.
And it just makes people move on. And no, we'll go down Regent Street. I mean, Harrods is probably is just as busy. Well, and like I was saying to you before as well, just chatting, that we have waves of Middle Eastern tourists coming over.
Yeah.
Now at the moment there's a lot over. I'm not saying it's at the numbers it was, but for a while we were going, you know, because it's great business for us, right? So we're gonna go, oh, you know, the visits are over, the Middle East is over, and they come over and, you know, me being a watch enthusiast, I used to love it, pick them up and APs everywhere and everything else.
Yeah.
But they started saying that London's dangerous. They started hearing, you know, the rumours get around, and even people that live here and they live over in Mayfair, and they might be from, you know, originally from the Middle East, they just say that London's not the same. It isn't the same. It's not. Yeah. They're not comfortable, and it used to be. Look at the size of it. How many people we got here?
Yeah.
And you'd like to say the crime is relatively small compared to the numbers, compared to other cities, but now I don't know whether it's, you know, better or worse. But I do think I haven't seen as many.
Well, we have. What I can say is, I mean, there's little doubt that we have really, over the last 4 years, we have become the watch crime capital of the world in many respects. But you know, it's very sad listening to what you're saying, because, you know, some people say, oh, you know, stop talking about crime or watch crime or whatever. But as I said earlier on, mate, it's not just about the watch crime, is it? It's about people like yourselves who rely on the summer business, the tourists. The tourists are getting fed up because they don't trust it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, the shops will suffer, businesses.
The knock-on effect is huge.
It's huge,
and that's without the victim and whatever happens to the victim. But like you said, to hear, and it is, I mean, they do, when they come to visit the Middle Eastern tourists, they do sort of condense in a certain area, around Selfridges, around Harrods, around Mayfair, around Knightsbridge. So you've often just backwards and forwards. But, you know, to hear them sort of say, oh, London's not safe, and you're going, this city I grew up in, city I love, you know.
Yeah,
and,
same as me, mate,
and it's like, it's all right, you'll be all right, it is safe, in general it is safe, isn't it, you know, but it's, I don't know. It's just it's a real shame.
No, I think you're right. I think because I wouldn't, I never want to overstate it. I still believe that in general, London is a very safe city, but you can very easily also as well become a target if you wear the wrong things, if you're carrying the wrong stuff. I remember when I used to go out dealing, years ago, mate. I used to walk around central London with a Louis Vuitton bag, with fairly large amounts of cash and a watch, and never gave it a
And what
thought.
do you think now?
Mate, I wouldn't carry a Tesco's bag around London now with a few quid in,
I mean, when you're leaving watch shops and they're giving you a plain paper bag because they're afraid of someone snatching the logo one off of you, and it says it all, really.
Yeah, that tells you something.
And that's what's happening. And it is a shame. But I will say, like I said, there were spouts of it where you just see it all the time. And whether that was because it was a mass and the same gang and they've been caught, whether it was the highlighted, that you've brought to it, and I know you're involved in Instagram with that Watch London or Watch Crime London or whatever it was. But you haven't seen as much, but you still don't see any police. Now look at this. Look, compared to the number of people that are out, you still haven't seen any.
Yeah.
I couldn't show you one.
I mean, we must have passed now, I don't know, 100,000 people in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen a police officer anywhere.
And that's what I think the fundamental problem is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's nowhere for people to go. If that guy gets his watch nicked or whatever happens to him, he's got no police station to go to. They can't react quick enough. They can't.
Yeah, it's gone, isn't it?
So basically, that's the culture, it seems now. Once it's gone, it's gone. Here's your crime number. Hope you're insured.
See you later.
That's the end of it, rather than prevented,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we then start to delve into areas where, well, I'm certainly not really qualified to talk. I mean, do you blame the mayor? Do you blame the government? Do you blame both? I don't know, mate. All I do know is the people that are supposed to be looking after us, they ain't.
No.
And that's the problem.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's, you don't get a cab driver started on the mayor, otherwise you'll be on here all day.
Exactly.
But it's just things like, you see emergency services blocked up by the decisions they've made. This used to be, that yellow path next to you was the width of the road before COVID. They put blue barriers here to save for social distancing, and now they've extended the pavement. What it means is you can't pass a bus on this road.
Yeah.
So the bus takes priority, which is fine. I get what they want to do. Until the bus breaks down, until you're stuck with an ambulance behind you, or until the police are trying to get to Piccadilly Circus, and we're all stuck like these people. You know, I just don't understand some of the decisions, and it's.
Well, that's certainly not helping the
movement.
And the CO2 they're talking about this is it. You got cars backed up, fuming. And when I was out with the police a few months back, we had a couple of blue light situations where we just got stuck. They couldn't get anywhere.
No, you can't, and you see it all the time. And unfortunately, the worst thing is sometimes it's an ambulance, and God forbid it's.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah.
But it's falling on deaf ears. But if anyone ever says, "Look at this," we understand what you've done, but look what it's creating.
Yeah.
You get nowhere. Absolutely nowhere.
I think we just, as a country, without going on to other subjects, but as a country right now, we just seem to have lost the plot, haven't we, in many respects? Yeah. Completely lost the plot. My wife was saying to me the other day, it's like they're having a wind-up with us.
It's like they're grasping at these virtual ideas that, the virtue, know, and they're saying, like, oh, this sounds good, this makes me look good, but they don't think of the knock-on effect of it. And unfortunately, without, bashing the mayor, he's a massive culprit of that. That it's not for the good of London, and that's his position. Surely, that's what he should be in there for. It's for the good of London, and they screen the CO2 emissions and stuff like that. But half our taxi fleet now is an electric fleet.
Yeah.
They're not cheap. They're very expensive. So the cab trade itself has really invested in, this idea.
Yeah.
But then you get stopped from going down certain roads, or you can't do this turn, and you can't do that.
No reward for it.
No, there's not. It's just.
Well, I was talking to some police officers the other week on camera, and they were very, very critical of the mayor.
Yeah.
But at the end of the chat, they asked me not to. Not to.
That's what I mean. 31 police stations or 36 police stations closed on his watch to save money. What value do you put on people's safety, you know. But yet the vanity projects like, let's extend this and put some planters on. Look at over the road there.
Yeah.
You know, you tell me that didn't cost $100 to put all of these up here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Know? But who's going to shut a police station to save some money?
Mind you, Ulids will be paying for that, mate.
Yeah, it probably will be, mate. Yeah.
Ulids will be paying for all that dinner, I should have thought, in London.
And the congestion.
And a bit more, yeah.
And the congestion, yeah.
So I think the viewers would probably tell me off. I didn't ask you this question, mate. Have you ever had anyone jump in your cab and say, follow that cab?
Yeah. I love it when it happens. Yeah, and they do it with such pleasure as well, you know. There's a 2-cab job and someone in the back, normally had a drink.
Yeah.
Follow that cab.
Follow that cab.
Yeah, brilliant. And it's either that or I asked, are you busy? Is it busy? And
yeah.
Has Uber affected you?
So we're in Piccadilly Circus now,
That's
right?
it, we're in Piccadilly Circus. Shaftesbury Avenue coming up on our left.
There's Cupid over there.
Yeah. Got Chinatown straight ahead.
Was you around during the coronation at all?
I didn't work. I wanted to see it, to be honest, Paul. I wanted to, and there's so many roads closed and stuff.
Yeah.
Now the build up to that, you want to see a couple of police walking there. The police was everywhere.
They were everywhere.
Back on the beat, back with the old bobby hats on.
Yeah.
So
it's all about
for a couple of days.
All about public perception, right?
That's it. A couple of days, but again, still. You know, as a kid round here, there'll be police everywhere.
Yep, not seen one. I think I'm getting a few looks off a few people here, mate. I think they're looking at going, who's that weirdo in the back of a cab pointing a camera at me? Just round the corner from Chinatown.
That's it. We're at Shaftesbury.
Soho.
I mean, it's a great buzz when this is all emptying out and everyone's in a good mood, and it is a great atmosphere. But like you said, there's an underlining tone. And
do you do a lot of night work, or do you
that's
stick to
pretty much what I do, really.
Okay.
You know, so sort of late afternoon up until about midnight. I used to go all the way through the night, but the clientele tend to change after about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. You know.
Yeah, obviously for the worst.
Yeah. Exactly that. So I'm done with that now. But yeah, no, I just float around, do my bit, and.
And do you tend to see, you know, more things happen at night than during the day, or?
I think it does. I mean, it depends on where you go. Like I said, those sort of phone snatches and stuff like that, they were in daylight, you know. You see, and like I said, the 2 on the scooter are the giveaway, you know, with 1 no crash helmet on. You just know that something's going to happen around the corner. But generally speaking, this area is there's a good feeling about it. People are out at night, everyone's in a good mood, they've had a drink, they've come out of theatres, they've had a meal.
Yeah.
So you don't, I can go through Soho at night and I can tell you the ones that are always in Soho, always lurking, always there, you know, you see them all the time.
The same faces.
They might be trying to sell you something, they might be trying to, it's like Wardour Street.
Oh mate, I can't tell you some of the things I've been offered walking around here.
Yeah, exactly that. So you can see it, but in general, the atmosphere around here is, it's a good atmosphere.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, but like I said, again, not a single police, no one about. It's pretty much you're just lucky that not everybody's up to it. Otherwise. We wouldn't stand a chance, right?
Yeah, well, when you drive around, like we are in the heart of what you would call the touristy West End, London Central, you know, and it's mind-boggling, you know, when you look around and see the lack of any visible police presence at all. But I mean, they must be fed up with it themselves. I'm sure they are. You know,
I mean, I don't know where they are. You know, like I said, if you got, 8 minutes away from a police station, like I said, that's what we were always told, and they all closed down. Where do those police, or where are they all now? You know, I mean, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know about spotting a watch thief or a phone thief today, mate. I think it's going to turn into spot the old bill, spot a copper.
It's like you said, isn't it? It's the great white hunt, and you go out to get bit of one and you can't find it. But I could go another night when we're
when you spot a load.
When you see a load, So
I think the irony of what we're doing here really is that if we'd have been up to it now. If we was in a stolen car, for an example, although to be fair, you know, you got the APNR cameras, they'll probably pick you up. But I mean, if we was out on electronic push bikes looking for victims, you know,
you're untouchable, aren't you?
Take your pick, innit?
That's my point, and that's my point about it. You know, the fact that there is nobody about. These two guys, perfectly innocent in front of you, but what if they're not? You know, there's no one to touch them. There's no one to stop them.
Yeah.
It is literally just, you know, after the event.
But that is definitely part of the MO, is to be driving around trying to look a little bit incognito.
Yeah.
On the old electric bikes. I was up here filming with a Swiss TV camera crew a few months back,
right.
And we had the best example of during the filming. We had the best example of two guys, young guys, probably late teens, mid to late teens, driving around, all black clothing, black masks, you know, bang up to it, 100%. And I pointed them out to the camera crew, and they said, "Oh, we didn't film them." And I'm thinking, well, what's the bloody point? You know, it's like, that's what you're here for.
Yeah. And that is exactly it. You can spot them a mile off. I spot them a mile off. It's just, unfortunately, the people that they're snatching the stuff off haven't spotted them. You know, but you can't. I don't know how they can catch them, because well, look at that. Now, let's say we were in a police car and we were on Regent Street and something had happened.
You're stumped.
How are we going to get past? There's a central reservation, there's buses, we're not wide enough to pass anybody. All they've got to do is just drive around here and turn left, and that's it, they're gone. You know, so.
And those electric bikes, them
they
ones,
fly.
They're 50, 60 mile an hour jobs,
they
you know?
absolutely fly, yeah.
So as a cab driver, I've got to ask you again, mate. I mean, you've got to have a story or two, I would imagine, as a cab driver.
Everyone asks me that. Who have you picked up famous? It's endless. Yeah, loads of people. You've got all sorts of stuff happen, Paul. You get your somebody's confessional. You know, they tell you good stuff, bad stuff, sad stuff, happy stuff, but they're in your life for 10 minutes maybe.
Yeah. And
then they're gone. And that's the beauty of the job as well.
Yeah.
You know, if you like to chat with people and. Exactly that. Look at me and Ian. You know, you know, literally from King's Cross down to Sloane Avenue, probably 20 minutes, and we've been mates ever since.
And that's brilliant, considering he's a Geordie. You can't understand the bloody word he says.
Yeah, well, I did have to ask him to repeat a few things.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
But no, it was good, and a lot of good can come of it, despite, like I said, the underlying negativity of it.
God, I can hear someone having a good old sing here.
He's over on the right there. We have a little busking corner here. Sometimes with really good bands and stuff. So you're sitting in this little bit of traffic here.
Yeah.
And you can hear them. But I think these might be.
Oh, there he is. I've got him over there.
Yeah. Do you want your window down?
Yeah. Let's have a look.
Are you wandering far, far away from God in life's dark vale?
Oh, he's having a preach-up.
In the maze of life, are you wandering so far away from God that you don't even think about it?
You'll have to be careful, mate. You get nicked for that these days.
Ever even consider your sin? Ever even think about the fact where you might be headed?
I think he's had a few, hasn't he?
It seems that way sometimes. You normally get somebody here telling you something, preaching something, handing something out.
He looks like he's just rolled out of the pub.
Here at night, on this one to your left, that closes down, and you get a guy who plays the drums on things like kitchen bowls and old oil drums, and so he's brilliant, and he gets a crowd around him, everyone's dancing, a few break dancers and stuff. That's quite good.
Amazing. You know, for anyone watching this today thinking that, you know, I'm always having a moan and a whine up about things. I mean, look, I think Nick's been a brilliant guest today, because he's a London boy like myself. And what you said right when we first started the journey is that you're a Londoner, you love this place, you were born and bred here. And really, mate, we just want to protect it, don't we?
Exactly that, yeah. And I hate to see it going downhill. I hate to see, like I said, people not loving to come here and not appreciating, because there's so much to do here, there's so much to see. Look, we've just gone down some shops today, but buildings, architecture, everything else that comes with it. And if someone doesn't feel safe here, it does beat you up a bit.
Yeah, it's a crying shame, isn't it?
The other thing as well, this one on these rickshaws coming past you on the right here, they're another blight really, because as you go past Selfridges towards the end of the night, they'll fill up the pavements outside every theatre. There's hundreds of them. They're unlicensed, they're unregulated, they're unchecked. They charge people. There's stories of them charging. You can see that on YouTube. Selfridges to Harrods for 600 quid.
Yeah, crazy.
It's just awful, you know. And I just think, again, people getting fleeced. We're the most regulated cab service in the world. There's a standard that London's got to offer, and they're completely unchecked. TfL can't touch them because TfL don't licence them. The police aren't about to stop them. And just to highlight that, I mean, we're allowed legally to drive around and apply for hire with our light on, or be on a taxi rank. If you came out of a shop and I said to you, do you want a taxi? I've broken the law, because it's touting. Right? So as we go past Selfridges in a minute, you'll see them in between the customers coming out and the legal taxi rank, and the only thing they're doing is saying, do you want to get in this? You know, and they're not taxis. They're not. They don't fall under any category.
So again, we get back to that frustrating thing in this country now, where you do things right and you get punished for it. You do things wrong and you just goddamn get away with everything.
My example would be like if I stood outside your restaurant with a hot dog stall, you'd have something to say about it, wouldn't you? You'd go, hang on a minute, you know, what you're doing. You know, I'm licensed here. And this is exactly the same for us. But it's not even that. It's more to do with the tourists as well. You know, they're actually really getting ripped off. Now, I was in Covent Garden one day, going through when you could go through Covent Garden, which you can't do now, and there were two girls arguing with one of them, and my window was down, it was the summer, and I just said to them, what's wrong? And she said, oh, they told us it was £10 and they're trying to charge us £50. So I said, why? It's £10 per person per minute. So I just said to the girls, walk away. And they were looking to sort of say, got a load of abuse from the rickshaw driver. I said, who's he going to report you to? He's illegal himself. So just walk away. And they were getting upset, and he was screaming at them, saying that they've got to pay 50 quid. In the end, I just get in a cab. So they got in, I just drove them up and let them around the corner. But it's those things, that standard, you know, do you know what I mean? They're like, these young girls are just now getting ripped off because, and I'm not tarring every rickshaw driver with that attitude, but the fact is that, you know, they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, and there's no one to enforce it. There is no enforcement.
And we still haven't seen a copper.
I'll try and find one for you.
I'll tell you what, mate, I bet if I was to jump out here and drop my trousers, I bet they'd be there in 5 minutes.
But the old saying is, if you're ever going to get mugged in London, get mugged in a bus lane, because you'll have it on film the very next night.
Exactly. They get a ticket within 24 hours.
Exactly. So, but it is a shame, but.
What is it with the cab industry? Because you guys are like seen. I mean, I've always told my daughters that if they're ever under threat in London or feel there, you know, to jump in a black cab, because frankly, I think you guys are probably about the safest amongst, you know, probably just the safest to police, safer in some respects.
I'd like to think so. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of integrity that comes with this job. When you do the knowledge, the people say, "Oh, what's the point of the knowledge with sat navs now?" I hear it all the time, but. Number one, there's not only one route to go, and the sat-nav will give you one. We're taught to get you from A to B in the straightest possible line. Don't always use it because you don't want to do 300 or 400 left and rights on a journey, you know. But we can do it. But the badge itself is so difficult to get. You make so many sacrifices. You put so much into it. It's almost self-policing at the end. It gives you a sense of pride. It gives you, you know, that you want to. You know, you want to.
I get that.
Portray that quality all the time.
One of my best mates was a black cab driver, and it was almost like a brotherhood for him. You know, it's like a badge of honour.
It is, and you know, you're told, look, it's really difficult to get and so easy to lose. But that aside, the integrity that it gives you, you just want. It's like-minded people. You know, you want to help the person. You want to make sure they're safe. I've had people hail me and put, you know, 3 young kids in it, no older than 8. Tell them to take you home, while the adult then goes and does something else, you know, another dance class or something like that. Don't bat an eyelid, not a problem at all, and they don't bat an eyelid, you know. Lost property, someone leaves the phone in the back, you charge it, you wait for it to ring, you say, right, I'll bring your phone back. I returned a Van Cleef Arpels earring to somebody once, which was found in the back. I looked and I could see someone going, oh, I found something. So I said, what have you got? You know, and they gave it back to me. I thought about it. I thought about the clients that we had. Picked up a lady in a ball gown and her husband, dropped them at a really lovely apartment block in Knightsbridge. Well, it could be them. Went and spoke to the concierge. I said, if anyone says they've lost something, then here's my number.
Yeah.
You know, contact me. I wouldn't tell them what it was.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously it's just. And yeah, 3 days later, I got a phone call from them, and it was her wedding day gift from her husband.
That's amazing.
Like 35, 40 years ago, whatever it was. And she was so over the moon. That then makes you go, next time I get something like that, I'm doing that again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
so
doesn't have to be a financial reward always, does it?
absolutely not. No, absolutely. Because if I lost my phone, I want it back.
Yeah.
If I lost something that meant something to me, I want it back. And I think every cab driver's like it. And you know, we do get a bad name sometimes. But those who know us, those who use us.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really heard any bad stories about, you know, I mean, obviously there's been one or two high profile ones, but they're just like 1 in a million, you know, I mean.
A 350-year-old trade.
Yeah.
It was 25,000 drivers.
Has that number gone up now?
No,
or down?
it's dropped to about 15, Paul. I think we lost so many during COVID. Licenses, that is. Sorry, that sounded a bit dramatic, but
yeah.
They just never came back to it. And the knowledge was, you know, during that it all stopped. Anyone who was going to pass, passed, and they're just trying to build up the people again, you know.
Couple of private security guards there, but that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, but that's the other thing as well. Every single high-end shop has got security, right?
Yeah. They need it, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Because who else is going to do it?
Well, Nick, I really appreciate your time today. It's been magnificent.
Mate. It's been a pleasure.
Very educating, and I'm sure the viewers will have enjoyed every moment of listening to what you've had to say. As a couple of fellow Londoners, we'll just keep our fingers crossed. Oh, look at that Ferrari there, look, very nice. We'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that things get better. And we'll see you hopefully at the next show as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'll see you at the next one. And yeah, fingers crossed. Someone might wake up one day and say, let's put some more people on the street. But
so everyone that gets in a cab now, you're going to have to ask them if it's Nick the watch guy.
No, it's great to see you, mate. And yeah, always a pleasure.
I appreciate it, mate. And the best thing all about this cab ride, guys, right, is that look, the clock's off.
Oh no!
You forgot.
That's what's wrong with my business model, Paul.
That's it, mate. Cheers, Nick. Really
Right,
appreciate it, buddy.
mate.
Thanks, mate. So we're done for another day in central London, and a big thanks to Nick, the black cab driver, for chauffeuring me around this afternoon. Really appreciate it. What a top guy. I'm back here at Bond Street Tube Station, just about to jump on a train back to Victoria to get back to Brighton. Something that Nick said today hadn't really dawned on me too much in the past, but he was talking a lot about the lack of police presence here, and I've been walking around this square mile here, around Bond Street, Oxford Street, etc. for the last 7 hours now, and I can truthfully say, hand on my heart, that during that time I have not seen not one single police officer on the street and not one single police car. That's truly amazing when you think that we're in the capital city of our country, where there is so much crime of all sorts, not just watch crime. So kind of just begs the question to our mayor, who basically never got back to me. His department didn't get back to me after my request for an interview. Didn't really expect him to. He's got bigger fish to fry, but a thank you but no thank you email would have been nice in return. But it does beg the question to Mayor Khan, where have all of our police officers gone? Right guys, that's it for today. As always, I hope you enjoyed that. We'll speak again soon.